Hey everyone, welcome back to another Damanerds episode 47. I'm super excited to be in the virtual studio with so many amazing people, everyone. We're the hosts. My name is MJ, coming from Japan, and I'm always accompanied by my buddy over in Canada, hanging out with all the beavers and whatnot, Rach Damas. What is up?
What's up, nerds? It's back again, episode 47. I'm just as excited to be here. I think it's going to be a good episode. It's always a good episode. I mean, I've never had a bad time recording a Dama Nerds.
Never.
But for those of you wondering, for me, it is Thursday, March 25th, 7:16 p.m., the 13th year of Sander.
Yes.
And MJ, what time you got over there?
Dude, it's 11:16 in the morning, Friday in the future, getting ready. I'm TGIF-ing over here. So
nice.
Stoked for this one. Another reason why I'm excited for this episode.
Hey.
Episode 47, everyone. This one is the scheduling of this one. You know, we took a few speed bumps to get this one out, but still is an idea that me and Rod had. So March, everyone, I think you remember, there was a big announcement, everyone on SNS at the beginning of March was saying, International, Women's Appreciation Day. I saw a lot of things saying day, but it's actually the full month, everyone. So, let's focus on the ladies in the Dama community, put a huge spotlight on them, because in reality, there should be spotlights all the time for everyone, equally. Let's get the love and everywhere. Why does it got to be cut short? Just be long like my hair, just everywhere. So today, everyone, I'd like to introduce our guest, Rach Damas, as well as, get this, everyone, co-host for these next few episodes, Haley Bishoff. What is going on?
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me co-host this and help interview Rach. This is going to be super fun. So,
yeah.
Thanks for having me.
I mean, I guess we've done an episode with Haley. So if you guys haven't heard that, you got to pause right now, go back, listen to Haley's episode, and then come back and jump back in where you left off.
Exactly.
And in that episode, you'll remember we talked about Click Clack Radio, which was the predecessor of the Kendama podcast. And so, Haley's dusting off the mic, coming back for episodes.
How you feeling? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's bringing back a lot of really great memories. Nowadays we have Zoom and better technology, because when we were doing it, we were just totally winging it. You guys have it way more together than we ever did.
Maybe not our first episode, but yeah.
First few.
Yeah, for sure to help co-host, just hang out with you guys. I mean, overall, it's sucked to not have Dama events, and
absolutely,
this is better than nothing. And it's nice to just see your guys' faces and have a little chat. So,
yeah. Awesome,
yeah,
awesome. And just to explain to everyone, I just want to be super translucent.
I love it.
Some people might be like, "Well, cool, Haley's there as a co-host." It's but I wonder why. And it's we're going to be focusing on women in the community and, of course, the good points, but also want to put a spotlight on some of the harder points that me and Rod don't feel so comfortable talking about. Even though, of course, we're supporting and for it, we feel that there is something that it can be lacking if it's just us two guys talking. So that's why, Haley, we asked you to come on and just want to explain it to everyone. It's just, because it's all about love and just sharing. As everyone already knows, that's the best part of the kendama community. But recently, since the beginning of 2021, there's been a lot of negative shit. But let's start off positive, right?
Yeah.
Rach Damas, let's talk to you. Thank you for coming on and being a guest on the Dama Nerds. If some people maybe don't know, or maybe you do, very active on Instagram, a big kendama player within the California scene for a long time. How long has it been, actually, Rach?
Compared to a lot of people, it's not too long, but I picked up my first Dama actually way back in 2013. Didn't know what it was. I got it at Target for a white elephant gift, and I ended up getting it back myself. So I had that for a few months, lend it to a friend. Yeah, I lost it forever. It had been a few years. And then in 2016, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but Steve, my boyfriend, he was on the same dance team as me, and he had one, and I had not seen one in a few years. So I got back into that, and it was maybe MKO 2017 when I started kind of consistently playing.
Nice.
And growing a collection that we all know and love.
Yeah. Steve, for those of you who don't know, is Steezy Wonder on the good old gram. So shout out Steve.
Great name. Steezy Wonder. Come on.
It is a great Insta name, yeah. Yeah. So you said that you went to MKO 17 or 2017 rather, not the 17th MKO, but was that wasn't your first event though, was it?
My first event was something called OJO, and I think that was 2016. Yes, OJO 2016. That's something that Kendama OC at the time would host annually. First event, super exciting. I loved the vibes of everything, and I just wanted to be there as like a spectator because it was just so fun. And for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm not super extroverted. So like I loved being around it. I just loved being the observer. And that's kind of what got me into staying in the kendama community, was because the vibes were always really good and I stuck with it. So
nice.
Yeah, you touched upon a big group in California, the OC, right? And that was headed by, now actually that's one that I don't know so much about, because there's a lot of like little teams that were growing at the beginning. And I could only see from a distance through the computer screen, but that was organized by Alex Hirota.
Yes, it was.
Correct?
Yeah. So when I first joined the scene, he was definitely heading it. Steve at the time was on like their group board. I don't know exactly what it was called at the time, but they would organize events and everything like that. I think now it has kind of transitioned, especially over the past like year or so, with everything being super non-existent. But they are starting to pick up some more jams here and there. Right now, I believe Jacob Watts, he's in Kendamosi as well. He's kind of handling a lot of the IG on that side of Kendamosi. But yeah, things are still here.
Yeah.
Nice. That's good to hear. I remember Kendama OC.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I have a question. Since you kind of started out with dance and you said that you met Steve through dance. Well, first question, I do want to know what it's like to be in like a fun Dama relationship, but I also want to know how the dance scene and the Dama scene compares in terms of events and like energy and vibe. So whichever one you want to answer.
I mean, I can answer both. It's kind of funny because he dances and kendamas, and so do I. I think he kendamas more than I do, and like I kind of dance more than he does now, and it's kind of like it depends. We do love to do both. It's pretty fun, honestly, being in a, I guess, Dama relationship at that point, because it's not like this foreign thing to me that I guess some people have in relationships where like, you got to do your own thing, which obviously is great no matter what. Like you don't have to both do the same things. It's pretty chill because we would end up wanting to film stuff and it would be kind of at the same time as us being on a date. So it was like kind of killing two birds with one stone, I guess, in that sense. So it's pretty cool. It can be also like a motivation and a growth factor in our relationship because things come out when you are competitive with things, when you're trying to learn new things. And so when I'm by myself and I was playing kendama, I would get so frustrated and things like that. And he would be someone that could ground me and like tell me like it's okay, like it's a process and things like that. And like we could do that for each other. So it's pretty cool for the most part. And then as well as the dance community with the events versus Dama events, I feel like kendama events are more chill because like you kind of like show up and everybody's just hanging out. vibing, and then you have like these brackets and everything is super laid back but still competitive. It is slightly different in the dance community. I obviously haven't been in it for too long. I started dancing on our team in 2015. So it's been 5 coming up on 6, and competitions can be kind of iffy depending on what competition it is. So it's not really like the kendama scene where like if we all have competitions, everyone kind of knows all of them and we can go to all of them. And in the dance community, it depends where you're from, like what category you're in, and like what your division is. So then certain aspects of competitions when you show up are either like super not awkward, but just like dialed in and focused, and you kind of just are focused on your own team. And then it's like good vibes like once you're like walking by someone, or it's less interactive in my eyes when it comes to leading up to the competition. But all in all, like the vibes are pretty similar. It's just a group of people that love to do the same thing, and you have like similar or like slightly different goals, but you're just here to partake in your passion, and you so happen to compete with it, and it's super fun. Yeah.
Nice. I have a question actually that pertains to dance battles versus kendama battles. Since we all know Catch and Flow is kind of based off of like dance battle style, you know, the 45 seconds head to head, 2 rounds. Something that I've always thought was interesting and funny and is that in kendama, we're all like, you know, everybody's very supportive on stage. We're all just like, yeah, man, let's do some tricks. Like, hell yeah, we're going to get up there, do some, oh, you did so good, dude. Like, you know, I'll go up to my opponent, give them a hug on stage and just be like, yeah, that's so sick. Like, whatever. But when I see dance battles and shit, people are like, yo, motherfucker, you're going down. I'm going to take you out. You're going to be fucking buried after this comp, you know, like crazy shit. So it's like a lot more like I want to say like headstrong, like competitive kind of thing. Is that something that I'm just like seeing, or is that like a real vibe?
I mean, it's definitely valid. I've seen that, especially when I was growing up and I was watching like things about dance. At least for our team, we don't really do battles like that. It's more so either like breakdancing. That's more like kind of that vibe of competition and like battles in that way. However, like I feel like it might be like the physical part of it and like the like mentality. So I feel like people started doing that because it would give them confidence and like kind of like make them focus on like, I can do this better than them, even if it's not really, it's just so that you're focusing while they're dancing. Yeah. That like you can get back into it. But, and I guess with like kendama, it can be like that. Maybe some people slightly do that. I don't know. It's like more like a chill way. Yeah. But like, because kendama is more like mental and like kind of focus in on like what you're holding rather than like the out like energy that comes from your like body. I guess it's slightly different, but our team, we only do battles for like when we're having competitions and we have a set where you have a spot and like somebody wants your spot, then you battle, but it's not really like you do this and then I do something completely different. It's like you do this and I'm going to do the same thing, and then whoever does it better ends up being in that spot. So it's I guess it's pretty civil in that way for the way that we've done battles on our team. But I definitely see where the, the anger and like confidence and the over like cockiness came from. Yeah. And like, battles.
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like a good thing in competition. Like maybe not like after the comp, I'm sure these guys all like bro down and just like, yo, what's up? Like, you know, it's a good battle, whatever. Like, I'm sure there's no like, well, maybe there is sometimes some beef or whatever. But anyways, I've always thought that was interesting, and something like this, it's kind of funny, like something I have always kind of wanted to do, but never really had the thought in my mind at the time or the opportunity really, is like kind of to bring that, and it's not kind of out of character for me as well, but to like bring that energy to the like kendama battle kind of thing. Like, for example, the one idea I had, there's only a few people I would do this to, but like to be on stage, like head to head, and just like walk over to them and just grab their dama and just compete with their dama and just like drop it, like walk back over and drop it like a mic and be like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it just like mind games kind of thing. Like you're saying though, because it like, if I was to do that, then it's like, if I did that and I messed up, then it's like, well, good, nice one, dude. You know, like that's not going to get me any bonus points. But if I go out there and like get some good tricks in, then it's like now they're like, well, fuck, now I got to do that. Right. And I don't know. I just like thought of those two. So I thought it was an interesting little
that's
tidbit.
actually something.
Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Go
you're
ahead.
good. You're good.
So the reason I asked about that is because I went to a dance battle or like event at District Arts where we did all girls event in Vegas. And I know you came to that one. And it was like a breakdancing battle. And they were in like a huge circle. And I mean, I don't know the whole scene as well as you do, but it totally reminded me of like back in the day when we would have Dama circles at events. And like someone would pop in and like freestyle, someone else would pop in. And it, like, to me, felt like the same energy and like vibe, except for the fact that there was like a whole nother level of like cockiness and ego in like the breakdancing scene.
Yeah.
I think it's for the reason you said, like, you have to be confident in what you're doing, like to make the other person intimidated by your stuff. It's not that way in Dama as much, but
yeah, I think it's kind of not necessarily like a coping, because some people are like kind of really cocky when it comes to that stuff and really, really good. I feel like that wouldn't, even if I did something like that, I definitely wouldn't be someone that could, show off in that cockiness way and like be in someone's face. I would literally have to rely on like my skill set and just do that. But the way that, I mean, I wasn't around the Dama scene when there were like Dama circles. That actually sounds like something that our team does. We call it a freestyle circle. But it's not really a battle or a competitive thing. It's more so like at the end of practice, we would just circle up and then we would play different songs, and whoever was feeling it would go in, dance, and then like you would pass it on to somebody else. So in that way, the vibe is like completely the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's like kind of how like the whole freestyle kendama scene kind of came to be. Really, was like from us. Like I remember at the Gloken Cup in 2013, there was like a freestyle circle there, and it was just kind of what you're describing from the dance thing, is that we had a circle of all of us and put a song on, and just like whoever's feeling, you jump in, you do a trick, you jump out, and then the next person jumps in, does a trick, jumps out, and it wasn't like they weren't giving prizes away. They weren't doing nothing. I mean, there's been times where somebody was like, yo, that was sick. And then just like throw a Dama at you or whatever. But like for the most part, it's just for the vibes. It's just for the fun, just to show some tricks. Just like, yo, I was working on this new one. Like, check this out. You go in and try it once, right? Something that's like awesome. That. And yeah, I think that's like a cool thing. That's always been like one of my favorite things to do with like, as far as like kendama, like gathering like event kind of things go, is like, it's just no, like I like a competition, but like just like the good vibes, just just get in there and throw down a little bit,
right? I think the best part about that is just like giving each other confidence and giving them a space to get ready for possible like going on stage and doing an actual competition where the spotlight is really on them. So it's like get the jitters out in a safe zone with all your buddies. And that's probably why many different types of like sports or groups, clubs do this style of thing where you're in your community, your team, but then there's that kind of practice space. So that's like that's the best part about it. I want to step back though and go to the whole, like, I had an epiphany on possibly why in the dance scene, there is more of a kind of like a boxer mentality, like you're in an actual fight compared to the Damas, because what I'm guessing is that kendama is growing along still, and it's been growing recently since everyone started having smartphones, since everyone had their own SNS social media account. So then everyone's posting. The community is not only like tight, where in the dance scene, it's been going on for long before the internet. So it was almost like felt like gang. I'm probably it possibly even could have grown like out of like a gang scenario where instead of actually fighting, let's fight like without hurting each other in like this dance battle. So there was like that anger that was there behind it. But with Dama, we're all on the internet, like sharing, and we all know each other. So when you go to an event, like you were saying, Rach, like it's so relaxed, and I feel it's relaxed because everyone's like, I know you guys already.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would probably be, from what I'm thinking from us talking just now, that's probably like the key to why kendama has this feeling, this vibe of just like friends and positive energy like all the time.
Yeah, it's actually crazy that you say that, because I'm like reflecting on like the past like couple years when it comes to the dance community. Even though I'm not in the breakdancing community, I'm still like in the like competitive hip hop dance community. And the more we've been online and like the more you have social media, like you post videos of you dancing and things like that, those are like, I guess, credibility things where like people know you can do these things. And so it kind of alleviates that pressure and I guess not like front, like when you come to a competition, because it's like, oh, I know you from here and I've already seen this. So there's no need to like act and like present yourself like no one knows you, because a lot of people already know. So that is actually kind of faded in a way where it's more like communal, which is nice. Like at least for our team, I guess the last time we had a competition was forever ago, but in like 2019, 2018, we had like 3 different competitive dance teams, like who weren't really like super close, but we started getting close. We had like kind of like a showcase, like in a practice run on the same day as a competition, just because like we wanted to share vibes with each other, even though we were competing against each other. So it was like a mini practice competition, but more so just like a rehearsal, like have fun, like showcase. And I honestly, I haven't been in the scene for that long, but I feel like before social media, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we're kind of talking about like women in the kendama scene and whatnot. That's kind of like the theme of these episodes, I suppose. But so I just thought of this. So if you go to a kendama event these days, it's very heavily a male dominated sport or game or whatever you want to call it.
But dominated.
Yeah. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Very punny, MJ. But anyway, so there's not a whole lot of women at these competitions or in the scene really. Or so how does the dance scene compare to that? Is it the same kind of vibe, or is it more of a mixed bag, or is that something you've thought of? Or
I'm pretty observant, and like when you say that, I don't really think I can see like a predominant kind of between the two whenever I go to a dance competition. Granted, there are like a few teams that are either all female or all male. That's just because of their
that's going to happen,
and that's just going to happen. But for the most part, a lot of it is very mixed, and I feel like hopeful in that way because, like you said, MJ, where like the dance community has been growing for a very, very long time, and kendama is still growing. I think that we're headed towards that way, especially with like social media and more women coming into the scene. Like even me seeing more and more kendama accounts being created by women is awesome. So hopefully once we have more competitions and, you know, we're allowed to, I think that'll start to change. But
yeah, for sure. I also think on that note too, like, I mean, I obviously don't know the dance scene as well, but I think over the last like 4 years, like there has been such an increase in the amount of women that play Dama. And I don't know really why that is. Maybe it is social media, or just like people finding out about it, you know, as the community grows as a whole. But I don't know, it's been cool. And I think like, I mean, you've come to the AGKO, like you've been to MKO, and you've done the girls comps as well, right? At MKO or NAKO. So I think that also helps the female scene grow. And a lot of people have actually like come back and said, hey, this is more of a dividing thing, but that tends to be guys that say that and not girls. But yeah, and it's not meant to be that way more than anything. Like it's meant to just help more girls feel excited and like not intimidated to compete. And same thing with the all girls kendama video contest and, you know, all those other things. We just want to see new faces and more faces, and the more comfortable we can make it, the better it's going to be. So
yeah, 100%.
Completely.
Yeah.
Do you think, Haley, that there's a spot, because like you said, a lot of the people that say that having just a women's division is kind of making it segregating the whole thing? Like, shouldn't it just be all mixed together? Do you think there's a point where possibly like now it's good to kind of give motivation for the women in the scene to kind of, you know, go out and be part of this competition? Because just like looking at it, I think it's the same as if you're at a party or at a club, and like you can totally tell like there's a clique of people, you're not just going to go in and be like, hey, what's up, my name's MJ, want to buy me a beer? Like, and that's how I think the kendama scene is for anybody, but maybe for women, and that's what we're focusing on, for them to go in and be a part of a competition. But if there is an open space where it's like, this is just for you, like pretty much this is like an invitation for you to like come out and show us what you got. Like, don't be afraid, because we want everyone to feel safe and to be a part of it. So do you think there's a point where it can switch, where it's like everyone's in it, all the women are a part of it, and they feel like they're on the same level, and all the guys like understand, because there's still some guys who don't, we've seen, where we don't need it? Or do you think like it should always be there as a kind of like gateway?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, it's optional. It's not like you go to NAKO and you're a girl and you have to enter the girls comp. Like it's 100% optional. So a lot of the girls that compete in the girls open also compete in the normal open. But at the end of the day, it's kind of a statistics thing. Like obviously there's some girls that are absolutely crushing it at kendama, like especially, the Itami girls and a lot of the Japanese girls. But there's so many girls that absolutely have the ability to be in top 3 at NAKO. But it's a numbers game. It's like if there's 10 girls competing in open, but there's 250 dudes, like what are the chances? So and I mean, I think that it's good to have it as an option. It should never be a requirement. But on that note too, something like World Cup should be a mixed bag. I don't think that there should be a women's division for World Cup, because that is an actual all-inclusive event where we take wild cards for different countries, that didn't make it in. And we even take a gender wild card now too, I believe. I haven't been since added, but I do think that once there are more women, or like it becomes more even, like I guess the answer to your question is yes, but I do think it's nice to have as an option. It could be the same as like an under 8-year-old category. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's what I was going to say. Like compare, like, we have like advanced and beginner categories as well, so it's inviting to people of like, that aren't just the gnarly shredder who's been playing for 5 years straight,
It's totally not meant to divide. It's more just to like get more girls to just not be intimidated to compete. And I know I talked about this a little bit in my episode with you guys, I think, but I had so many women come up to me at MKO, when it was MKO, I guess, and say like, I'm not competing. I don't want to compete. I'm just like, I'm not good enough, or I'm too scared. And that sucked to hear that, because they are all good enough and they all should get up there and do it, even though it is scary. But that's why we, kind of started the whole girls division thing. And
a little bit of a secret, let you know a secret about that. Everybody feels that. Everybody feels that fear, that little bit of nervousness. I've been on stage, I can't even tell you how many times for kendama. I get nervous almost every time.
Oh yeah, me too.
It's like, for me, it's always been about like overcoming that. And like when you overcome that and you just like get out there and just do your thing, it just feels so goddamn good. Like nothing feels better.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I would like to think that people would like to conquer that as well and feel that. So I invite you all to conquer your fears. Get in there.
Yeah.
And not like all women are scared to compete. I'm totally not saying that.
No.
About it to me. But yeah, I mean, of course, kendama is a very inclusive community as a whole. And I think we've done a really good job of just being welcoming and loving to a lot of people that have entered it. And I don't think the women's division or option to compete in that category should change that. It's just another division. That's all it is. It's a lot simpler than it out to be.
I think that at the end of the day, it's more about like representation and like progressing towards like our goal, which is like a mixed bag, like wherever, right? Like the goal would be to have like all of the competitions like a mixed bag, because like she said, like the World Cup, like that's what it is, because it has been there for so long. And if you get to that point, it's what it is, like it's, if you think about it, it's like the Olympics or something. And then there's like smaller competitions that kind of help you train to get to like where you want to be. And I think the perception of like, I get why and understand why someone would think that it could be more dividing because of the way that they're looking at it. It's like, well, if you want them here, they should just compete with everybody. But if you think about it, like if I, out of like 300 people, like 10 women show up, and yes, they are able to compete with everyone, the perception in their mind is that's super scary. And even if like the whole mentality of everybody is like, I'm super nervous, I'm scared, I don't want to compete, or like I'm super nervous even though I've done this a million times. If I were a male and I was there with the 290 people out of the whole group are male, I'm more comfortable still doing it because I am a part of like the majority that's there. So it kind of blend in more, if that makes sense, because the 10 out of the 300 kind of stand out. And so the insecurity is kind of like multiplied by 100. So I think that that's why people, mainly males, will think that it's more dividing than it is inclusive. But I think the goal, at like Haley said, is the inclusiveness of it all, but it's not required, it's optional. Like I remember, I think Claire, she like competed in the girls open as well as like the like regular or like the original open, and that was super inspiring to me because like at that point I like didn't compete at all because I was like one of the people that Haley said where I was like, I don't really think that I should do that because if I mess up, like everyone will notice. But at the end of the day, this is something that I've been telling myself, which might sound mean, but like at the end of the day, like no one cares about you that much. Like,
True.
Like you put all of this pressure on you that if you lose your first round, that everyone will know. But if you think about it, especially if like you're a beginner and like you're new to the scene, like kind of you can take that pressure off of you because you end up putting the judgment on you before anybody else does. So it's like we kind of have to step back and just like let people, you know, have the option to do what they want to do until we can create, you know, that safe space for everyone to just feel, you know, super welcome like right away.
Yeah, I do like what you said about it just being more representation too, because, you know, when you have a girls division like at NAKO, if there's a beginner and intermediate and open division for women for top 3, 9 girls are going home with a prize. That's more than most competitions ever. Yeah. So yeah, you know, there's no major cash prize. So it is fair that if, let's say I come in open and girls open and I win both, it's not like I walk away with 2 huge cash prizes, you know, it's its own thing. But yeah, the representation I think is really the key. So I'm glad it's a thing right now, but yeah.
Yeah. So how did you two feel when it, maybe for Haley, when it wasn't a thing, or Rach, when you did go to a comp, did you see that there was a women's division and were you like, yes, or like, oh, like, should I just, so which one should I do? Was it confusing or was it a sigh of relief?
Haley, you want to go first?
Sure. Well, I guess back when I started playing kendama, it was, 2010. So there was like not even huge competitions to begin with.
Right.
But I did always feel a little bit of an intimidation just because I was actually legitimately like one of the only women, like maybe 3, maybe I was the only girl at an event of like 50 people that was the only girl, like actually no other people around. So it was kind of intimidating, but it was also, it was never something that like stopped me or held me back from making any decisions or doing anything with kendama, but it was definitely intimidating. And so that's kind of why I was like, well, let's, create an option to just get more girls, I guess, like psyched and motivated, anything. But yeah, I could go either way with it. I've never loved competing anyway. Like in general, I hate performing. I hate being on a stage. So I've never loved it, but it was intimidating at first, I would say. Yeah.
For me, I'm one of like 5 kids, but there's like 4 of us that are girls, and my brother, who's the oldest, like he's the only guy. But I've always been someone that was not super girly, and like I'm close to my brother. And when, I'm not gonna lie, when I first kind of like I'm not really into competing either, but just from like the outside perspective, I was slightly confused, and I was like, why is it, separated? Or I was like, why is it? I was like, they can be just as good. And granted, I didn't know exactly like how it was set up, but that was just kind of my stubbornness of like, if I wanted to do it, like I could, beat guys at like a certain competition. And that was like my mentality. But like taking a step back of like understanding like why it is there because of like where we are in like the timeline of kendama, it's definitely there. For me, it was always intimidating. Competitions are just intimidating to me in general. When it comes to dancing, I love competing as a team because it's kind of like we're as a unit rather than like I'm the center of attention there, and I don't like that. So when it came to competitions, I would kind of shy away in the first place. But I think if anything, it's more of like a motivation to want to compete in either both or kind of get comfortable depending on your personality. Like if you needed like the inclusion and like the representation and being in the all girls like kendama open and being in that division, and becoming comfortable and more confident in kendama, and then being able to do it like wherever and against whoever, I think that should be the goal, but it's always going to depend on who you are. Like Haley, I'm not really super into competing either. I just love the vibes and growing and learning, hanging out.
That's good. It's good. Yeah, I definitely think that there's, again, so many different types of people. If you're thinking like there should be the division, or maybe it's not necessary, or even just people who are going to the competitions to compete, there's plenty of us, no matter what your gender, who are self-conscious about how they're going to perform or if they're going to underperform, because I think that's the biggest thing. Nobody wants to bomb on stage. It happens though.
Oh, like, it happens.
The worst case, like I remember, what was it? Kendama World Cup. The first one, 20, was that 14?
2014, yeah.
Remember when they did like the freestyle?
Yeah, I knew exactly where you were going with this.
You had like, I think they gave you like 15 seconds. Something really crazy short.
It was pretty short.
Line of people like right next to the stage.
It was like, a lot of people.
Go. And I remember getting up there and like shaking, but like still psyched because everyone's there, like, yeah, Dama. So I get on stage, I'm like, yeah, go. And I'm trying this one trick and I continuously miss it. And I feel it's like just the second or third try. And they're like, all right, MJ, get off the stage. And the feeling after that sucked so much. So I definitely understand that. Or then, hey, guess what? And then what was it? 2016 Catch and Flow.
Oh, yeah. This is what I thought you were going to say the first time.
I was the first motherfucker to be on, the very first person to go. Throughout the whole competition. And everyone's like, and when I get there, like there's already a gang of people there and they're like, oh, MJ, yeah. They're like, good luck. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I learned that, hey, okay, MJ, in 30 minutes, get ready. You're going to be the first one to go up. I'm like, man. But then I always remember what Rod says. He's like, don't worry. Like, Bonds is going to win. Like, don't, like, just have a good time.
Well, that's no longer the certainty, maybe.
Yeah.
That it once was. Not that that's out of the question ever. I don't think.
Right. This depends on how he performs that year. But yeah, like, perform. Okay, just have a good time. And I go out there. But still, like, having that feeling is like you were saying, Rod, no matter how much of a pro is on your business card or not, like, don't worry, everyone. Get out to a comp, join it. I think it's really cool that now there's we're all doing it on Zoom. So there's even more of an opportunity. You don't have to worry about traveling, fixing your schedule to get out to a place, even though it is awesome to see everyone in person. It's the best substitute that we have right now.
It is.
Yeah.
It's going to go off when we all see each other, like the next NKO.
Yeah.
Dude, I keep saying, man, like we need a fucking farm or something somewhere away, because wherever we go, we're going to fuck it up. Like it's going to, like, think of all the places we've already been kicked out of and shit just on a regular event. Like,
we just need to rent a plot of land. Like,
exactly. Like, and for Gloken's sake, we can't do it in Japan for the first time because I think they've been through enough because of us.
Oh my god!
Right. Definitely the Super Stoker style is the way to go for the first one, where we open up just like a camp, a lodge, have this huge space where we can all just go buck whizzy. Because if we do it at like a normal place, we're all going to be in that fountain with bonds at the end, you know?
They're going to need to get a bigger fountain.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But until that day, here we are in the Zoom room. And
Exactly.
I mean, it's really not the worst. Like, it could be way worse. I've had a lot of fun just hanging out with people on here, even though I'm just in my living room. Even right now, like, I mean, I'm just sitting here on my couch and like talking to you guys. Like, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Considering.
Yeah.
But alas, here we are. Yeah.
I don't want to like continue because just from our conversations, I feel like we're just like hammering on the same topic. But like, I just want to have people who are listening to this who possibly will probably all of us, all the guys will never know how it feels to be a woman in the scene. Is there anything that we should or shouldn't do to help that more women feel comfortable?
Answer first, Rach.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I can kind of hark on what I've, I guess, said before, either on my Instagram or like my live or whatever I've done. But it kind of comes to like this story of I'm an introvert. So like my perception of things I could kind of play a victim of like, oh my God, people don't like to talk to me or like blah, 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 like all these things. However, I have to kind of reflect on like what I do. And I'm not very like in people's faces and like, hey, I'm Rachel, like, nice to meet you. Let's have this conversation. Cause I'm definitely not usually like that. But I did for the first maybe like year or so in the community, because Steve is the one that kind of introduced me to the scene. I ended up kind of being this like shadow that was like there, and I would be like overlooked or just kind of ignored. And like, granted, you can take it like maybe I looked intimidating to somebody, or then maybe I gave off this thing where they didn't want to say hi to me, but it felt very awkward. And because I'm an introvert, like I wasn't going to be like, hey, like, by the way, I'm who I am. Like, I just felt that. And it did come off kind of, I guess, exclusive, because it felt like they would always like say hey to like all the guys around me. And I was one of like maybe myself or like 1 to 2 or 3 girls in the OC community that were playing. And I think the only advice or like tip I would have is just to be more open-minded, because I think that's like the root of the inclusiveness. Because like you can create like spaces where you include people and you invite everybody, and you want a bunch of like girls and guys to come through to hang out. But I think the root would be open-minded and know that like the women in the community are new here and they are uncomfortable for the most part, or scared, or even just intimidated. And even though like guys feel scared or nervous and intimidated and like nervous and things like that, and you're learning and growing, I think for those of you who are willing, and it is in kind of like your skill set or your personality to be someone that lends out a helping hand and things like that, to be the people that are the advocates for the women of the community, where you introduce people and you just say like whatever you're comfortable with, like just hang around them, get to know them, because they're not the most confident yet. And that's probably just me speaking on behalf of me or a few of my friends that I have met through this community, is that we felt very unseen or unheard. Not always to the fault of other people. Sometimes it does come from us being either introverted, insecure, whatever, quiet. But it definitely does help for those people to kind of grab your hand and like help you through. Like if you can't see, like I can't go anywhere unless someone kind of helps me. So just being more open-minded and willing to introduce people, as well as just have conversations with people. It doesn't even have to be about kendama, because I feel like a lot of the reasons why I met and have made friendships in my community isn't even because they were only talking about kendama. It was because you found something relatable with that person as a human being first. And then it's growing, because I like to say that everything is transferable. So being able to talk about like what kendama teaches you rather than like how you land this trick, because sometimes that kind of intimidates people, where it's like, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't do juggles. I can't flip. But what I do know is like the concept of working hard to get something and like the feeling of getting that. So I think just being open-minded, being relatable, lending a helping hand. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome.
I guess I would say, like, for guys, just be inclusive. I mean, not people aren't, but just it's a general statement. Just be inclusive to everybody who comes into the kendama space, especially when there is a group of people that there are less of, definitely the women. And for all the girls in the community, just rep your shit, do what you like to do, and don't be afraid to do it. Like, I threw food into my mouth for a month in November.
You're the best. Honestly.
Dumb shit ever, but like, it's so fun. Like,
and we all loved it.
Like,
yeah.
I ate so much food off the floor.
I was so surprised how that avocado like exploded.
Yeah, well, it had hit the floor a few times prior, and then it was just done. But yeah, do what you like to do. Like, girls don't feel like you have to level up a guy, or it's not like that. Just do what you like to do and have fun, and like find your friends and find your niche and just do it.
It's an interesting time in the world with like everything that's going on, with like everybody kind of coming to realizations that, there's all this past of like separatism, sexism, racism, all this crazy shit. And like, really, we all are just fucking humans, and we all kind of have forgotten that somehow, and it's sad to see, but it's like, at least we can try and just like look at ourselves and just fucking learn, like there's nothing wrong with like being like, oh shit, like, and I'm just as much at fault as anyone. If like, I'll like make a joke or something and be like, oh, that was definitely a little too far, Rod. Like, holy shit, like, or something like just as an example. Yeah. And so like, but all you got to do is just step up and just correct yourself, and just like in that situation, like, yo, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to fucking do that. I just wanted to be funny, whatever. And now you're learning. And then next time you'll fucking think twice before doing something like that. Right. So I'm not saying go out and make mistakes or like, and be a dick and be like, oh, I'm sorry or whatever. But like, just
don't let that be the excuse.
Yeah. Just be conscious that like, we're all here for the same reason, and we all just want to fucking hang out and catch some balls and some cups and just fucking and have and enjoy the fucking dopamine rush when you get it. Right. Like that's all we all want.
Yeah. I think that it's crazy because it's at the end of the day, like, you're a human being. So like, we've been doing trial and error since like the day you were born. And like, depending on like your environment and like who your family is and who your friends are and things like that impacts the way that you are. And not everybody grew up literally as you. So at the end of the day, like, be tactful and like mindful, but at the same time, like, know you're only human and you're not perfect. And as long as you like try your best to like be about your shit and like be a good person, like that's all you really can do. And listen to people if like they feel like they need to be heard. Don't like go your entire life being super selfish and like knocking people down, but also know that like all you can control is like you anyway. So as long as you're doing your best to be a good person, like just hang out, have fun, like spread good vibes and keep going, like that's, life's too short and we gotta stick together because people are fun. things get heavy and I need to like do this sometimes because I can't handle too much of the, I guess, weight of a lot of stuff. Like when it comes in hot and like, oh, I gotta go for like a week. I can't.
Yeah, that's fair. It can get real heavy real fast.
Yeah.
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 That's all good. We're learning.
But yeah, it's like growing pains, right?
Yeah. It makes you better.
I like to think of it as that anyways. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
Something like that.
Just like the rest of the world, the kendama community is also learning and growing, and we're all humans. We're all doing the same thing, just trying to live our lives and have some fun.
Yeah, I would have to say though, like we are very lucky in terms of like the people that are in this community.
100%.
I have had little to no negative interactions or relationships or anything. Like I really do feel like a majority of this community is just like here to have fun and like be friends. So yeah,
that's true too. Like the kendama community is kind of, we do like as a community, I feel like pride ourselves on being like all about the love and just like trying to be inclusive and trying to just like be there for everyone and and supportive and all that good stuff. And I do think that like everybody does kind of do their best to do that. And even if like myself or whoever, we all sometimes fall short, whatever, trying to do our best, but we're all learning just like everybody else. That's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. It's like one of the best. I think there's so many different communities. And I think just because it's so fresh, so new, that's when like we're kind of like the founders and are able to kind of create what it's going to be. We can mold it a lot more than stepping into something that's already there, say like skateboarding or even like a certain kind of like music genre. Like for me personally, I go to a lot of concerts. Well, I used to, but like heavy metal, like hardcore, there's like it's a really like tight knit scene,
Absolutely.
And there's already an image for it. So when you're a young kid and you see it, like that's what that is, but with kendama, it's so fresh that we're creating it as we go. And there's a lot of, like you're saying, Haley, we're really lucky that there's a lot of positive minded people. Of course, there's a few bad apples. But thankfully it seems like they stay silent for the most part and just, are hanging out with the rest of us. So okay, cool. Everyone, as long as we're not causing trouble and for stupid, hateful reasons, then we're all good. It's all high fives and down spikes.
High fives and down spikes. I love it.
Although there's nothing wrong with a swing spike either. Yeah, you can. This has been a good episode so far.
Yes.
Talking about some good stuff.
Yeah. Rach, I also want to kind of focus on you a little more because I know that you speak your mind very often, and even though you say you're pretty shy, that you do go on SNS and you do tell it like it is, and you even like say yourself that we want to go out and help people be more mindful and become a better person or to grow in some sort of way. What was there something that like happened with you or some like thing that made you just drive, be like, yes, like this is, I just want to go out and help people? Or has that always been a thing for you?
Not necessarily. I think at the end of the day, like even if like on the front end, I definitely do get myself to like go live on something or just like share like my thoughts on something and stand up for like, or give words because I've always been like an empath. And even so, like, I've never really had like this giant like trigger like experience that like made me feel like I needed to do that. But because I'm someone that can do my best to put myself in someone else's shoes or listen to people, I had always been someone that my friends or like my family members could like come to and like talk to. And so even as like an introvert, it felt like a disservice to like have that information and not, share the outlook of it and like what we could learn from it. And so I had started this blog maybe like a year or two ago, just to kind of keep track of my like words and my thoughts to remind myself at the end of the day, because I could feel really good and like self-love and self-growth and things like that. And I would like write it all down. But then like a month later, I would not understand that. And so I can now kind of reread my own perspective. But yeah, in the community, it felt like people around me who didn't have like the best experiences or who didn't feel as included because I wasn't very, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm not super active. Like I definitely do play. However, at like events and jams in the beginning, I would kind of just be there and I would hang out. And so the people that would, kind of chill on the back and like sit on the bench, like we would talk, things like that. And I realized that even if I don't go through something, I realize that a lot of people go through things that I don't go through. And that's something that I've tried to be an advocate for, is at the end of the day, like I can't speak on behalf of anyone but myself. However, I can kind of propose these like ideas or situations where we're all on the same page, but like on like in like different areas. So like it's like all about perspective. And I think that for me, it's really hard sometimes. Like I'll like post something and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll delete it because I get scared because I'm like, oh no, like I feel like maybe I could have worded that slightly better, or maybe people will get offended, or maybe someone won't like this. But at the end of the day, like I needed to use whatever platform I had to help those who needed like their voice to be heard because they couldn't like get the words out. But that's kind of where it started. It wasn't really like a situation or anything. It was like a gradual reflection on every community or aspect I've ever been in my life. So that's kind of where it came from.
Okay. And just like you were saying, like, which was a good point, Ben Harrell, take notes. You're writing it down so you can look back on it and not forget it, which is, definitely a good thing. Me personally, I've just been like recently trying to figure out to be more productive, and like just making a schedule is super helpful. Or making like a certain set of goals. So like writing stuff down, everyone, like that's, it's good. So me and Rod, like, no, not just me and Rod, the whole friggin' community, everyone, got, I guess, a wake up call. Not really, but kind of. Hey, January 2021, Danya went on a little spree that all of us know about. Here on Damanerds, we're open. We talk about this stuff, these hard topics. Yeah. It's like when you sit down with mom and dad, you got to talk about the fucking birds and bees. And shit.
You got to learn about the birds and the bees. You took the words out of my fucking mouth. Holy shit.
Kids are uncomfortable listening to it. The parents are uncomfortable talking about it. Yeah. But hey.
But it's reality.
Yeah, yeah. And this is actually when I saw you, Rach, and speaking so well on the point, because everyone was saying something about it. And of course, there was good side, bad side, people just like not saying like much, kind of being neutral, but there was still a lot of comments and everyone was like going fucking crazy. And no one knew like who to trust, because even at that time, the whole world was like, COVID was still going, like everyone's like Trump, like fucking talking about this is fake. And the whole world, like COVID has like brought up so much shit that has been like in everywhere for like a long time. And it just like really like it burst the bubble. It opened that box to really see what the problem is, and where a lot of people are just like, I've had enough of this bullshit. Like now is kind of like almost like a revolution style to step up against this stuff now. So like, I just want to say, Rach, like, thanks for that video. Cause I'm sure there's a lot of people who wanted to say something, but were scared about doing it. As well as just anyone who made a comment, like it's really hard to really understand words through text. There's so much emotion that is gone. So to you to like step up, turn the camera on and do that. It was like very, very brave of you, and just want to say thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you for even seeing it or wherever it was. Like, I definitely did not plan on doing that at all. like I was literally just having this maybe 2-hour conversation with Steve about it. And I just kept saying things over and over again. And I was getting more, not frustrated, but just like passionate about like wanting to like help better like our community in any small form or way. So like when I went on it, I was like, I think I say it in the beginning of my live too. I was like, maybe I'll save this. I don't know. But I just decided to, even though like I'll look back on almost everything that I post. I'm like, like it's there now. And that's, I think, going back to the whole, like the world, like everything was on like a spotlight. And I think it was because with how amazing technology is and how helpful it is, like when COVID happened, everybody was always on the internet now. Like, granted, like everyone has always been on the internet and like everyone was always on the go, but you were doing things and doing that. You were going places and seeing people and interacting and like being distracted by so many things. And in the past year, you had no choice but to kind of like open your eyes and like see what is out there, which is very scary and overwhelming. So when that happened, like it's completely understandable for people who have been cooped up forever to react right away and get super emotional and bring things back, especially if you're triggered in any sort of way. Like I completely understand that. It was just a way to kind of take a step back and see perspective on like the goal is the same.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that I love about this community. It's not like that the intentions or the motives are like opposite. It was more like the way that people are doing things are slightly different, and people were kind of going head to head and getting mad and having this war over like it should be done this way. And like I feel like in order for us to progress, it's not like if someone was being like oppressed, or if someone was being insulted and secluded and excluded for so long, the answer isn't to like retaliate it on the other side. Like the goal should be like, hey, let's listen and see what happened, and then like all figure out how to go that way, because that seems to be kind of like a recurring thing with a lot of things where like, like the whole like Black Lives Matter and everything like that, and like everything was just like, no one's saying that all lives don't matter, and like that's just like my take, like because I believe in that sentence too, but the way that a lot of the connotation behind everything kind of threw everybody for a loop. And it was like, take away like not the social media or just like take away the headlines of everything and just like read it for what it is, and like know that literally you're saying the same thing.
100%.
Because like everybody knows, I'm sure, like everyone knows what the word all means, like and I'm sure like you take it like in context, like that's part of it. But like the reason was like, I guess my like analogy was like, if you have like 2 kids or 3 kids, 5 kids, one of them broke their leg right now, right? Like a lot of the attention and care is going to go to that child right
100%,
now. Doesn't mean that your parents don't like love the rest of you. It's just you realize that something is wrong, and we need to, nurture it and
100%.
figure out like how like these people will not break their leg, like if they did it by jumping off the roof, like maybe don't jump off the roof. Like that's kind of what that maybe. I tend to do that. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't do that, or maybe you should. Because,
no, it's good to give people the option, but maybe you shouldn't.
I was like, I'm not, I can't dictate the way you live your life, but in my opinion, maybe you shouldn't,
and
treat people like crap.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say the same thing too about like the Black Lives Matter movement, and even now it's starting with like the Stop Asian Hate movement and all this stuff.
Yep.
It's like on top of COVID, like you were saying, MJ, like COVID has brought out all this stuff, but those things in particular have like forced a lot of people to like not only like look at this larger issue that's been underlying for generations, but also to look at yourself and to like learn like what the hell you're doing, like even I myself, like this is exactly what I was saying before, like I'm a white male. I grew up in Canada. Like I don't experience any of that, like racism, any of that, like, like I'm very privileged in that sense. And I like to think that I'm very inclusive and I like show love and that to every person equally. but I'm not without my faults. Like there's been times in my past that I think back on and I like, think of things and I'm like, wow, like I really could have dealt with that better. Or like, wow, I really like kind of in that moment, like said that or something like that, and it's like, just like everybody else, it's like, we're all kind of looking at ourselves. And I just keep saying like, we're all fucking learning. Right. And there's nothing wrong with learning. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. You just got to kind of look at yourself and just be like, okay, accept it. I was wrong. Now I'm fucking learning. And that's what all of that was all about. Like it was, like you said, it was not that all lives don't matter. It's that these people specifically have been treated this way for a very long time. And it's bullshit. We're sick of it. Everybody's sick of it. So let's fucking fix it. Let's address it. Right. And and that was something too, like with the Danye thing, he brought that to light in the kendama community a lot more, maybe even more than most people wanted to, more for sure. And like definitely arguably in ways that were, I found unproductive and maybe a little bit more like you were saying, like, I forget the analogy you used, but like fighting fire with fire, essentially, right? Like you don't just return fire. That's not how you end a war, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a crazy time to be alive. It really is.
Yeah. But it's like, but I definitely hear like at the same time, things could be, we already understand, Rach, you kind of touched upon it. Just the delivery was off for Danye. And I hope he realizes that. I think there's a lot of passion that he had behind it. And that's why he spoke so strongly. And like we all know, we're all fighting. We're not fighting. We're hugging for the same thing. Can I say that?
Yeah.
And,
yes, you can.
And just the delivery was off. Could be a little more open, hearing on both sides instead of just a few chats on Instagram. I think that's like, it's so crazy how like good things and bad things just like come hand in hand. Like how all this social stuff, we were connecting, but then at the same time, it's just text based. So it's like, wait, how did you say that? Like when I make a sarcastic like joke on someone's post and I like hit comment and I'm like, yeah, that's funny. And then I could look at it and I was like, oh wait, someone could read that in the wrong way.
Yeah. You're like, the person that I commented to understands it, but everyone else doesn't get it. And do I even comment anymore? Like, should I just wait until I see this person?
Right.
Like, I'm just going to DM them. Fuck it.
So then, I feel like we've, as a society, we reached like this level of what you say. Like, you got to be really careful because you're going to be stepping on someone's toes. You can't please everybody. But you also have to be cautious of what you say. But then there's going to be definitely people out there who are going to pick and look like if you look for a problem, you're going to find it. Like, so it's really a hard thing to look at. What you're saying, Rach, of how like putting out the things that from people who maybe aren't speaking themselves and people who aren't asking the questions to those people will never know. So it's like here you are trying to open up the conversation or at least open up a window. So it's like, hey, did you hear this thing? Just some information. You don't have to act on it, but just put it in the back, put it in your pocket.
Yeah. It's kind of like the analogy you used from like when you come to the event and like you felt like you were like the shadow of like Steve or whatever, and somebody like reaching their hand out because you can't see. Like it's no different in this scenario either, right? It's just like if you have a little bit of light at the end of your tunnel and you can see it, maybe help somebody else have a peek,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good one too. Is like in a giant room like of darkness. Like if you have like the smallest little like lighter, and you light that, like it's going to spread and help. Even if it's not by like you're turning on like 30 lights, it's still helping someone in the dark.
Helping everyone else find their lighter.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when we all put our flames together, then
yeah. Exactly.
We can burn the world down. Yeah.
So shit.
Sure.
Man, we're already doing that.
Fuck.
That's right. Damn it.
Yeah.
Goods and bads come in waves. Oh shit.
Yeah, they say you can't feel the good without the bad. You don't enjoy the sun without the rain.
True.
And I'm a pretty firm believer in that, but I think there is a limit to that as well. There's some bad things that are just like at this point as a species self-inflicted and there's no fucking reason for it.
Oh yeah.
And that And that goes for all of it, whether it's like racism, sexism, or just like picking on someone because they got a booger in their nose or some shit. Like, you make jokes, whatever, sure, you know, like, but don't hurt people.
Yeah. Something that my parents would always tell me is like, seek to understand before judging. And I think now in this day and age, a lot of people forget that, or they're so quick to judge or be offended by something someone says, but they don't understand the reason behind why somebody said it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't want to, chime in too much on this topic because this is Rach's podcast, but
you're the co-host. You can speak.
Yeah, you're here.
There,
no, talk, please.
just say too that it's a hard topic. It's a touchy topic, but don't judge someone's character based on what they do or do not say on social media, because actions speak so much louder than words, and
100%.
you never know what's happening behind closed doors, and Instagram is not reality. And, I think that's been something that we've been dealing with. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And just try not to judge people for Instagram, I guess is my point.
Yeah. That's been a recent one that, that has popped up. Like, if you don't say anything and then you get like some backlash for that, it's like, man, it's like, I kind of just want to not be a part of it in a way, but to some degree,
people are doing behind closed doors that they're not preaching about either too.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
People are donating to the cause, or going to things in their local town. Like, you never know these things, but if it wasn't on Instagram, it didn't happen. So
right.
To judge that is my only point.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like maybe I'm trying not to be on Instagram so much, so I'm like not posting, or I'm not looking. Like that's what kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
So, like, totally.
Me too. I mean, the whole week, and not to go too far into this topic either, but the whole week of the Black Lives Matter movement, when everything first happened with George Floyd, I actually had deleted Instagram off my phone for a week because I take breaks from social media because I just think it's so toxic in so many ways.
100%,
and I went back onto my Instagram with, how many messages saying that I was racist for not posting something? I was I wasn't on Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm coming with this is, if you are someone who wants to be vocal about a form, you have free speech. You can do whatever you want. You can voice your opinion about it, but just don't be judgmental to people that don't want to use their as that type of platform.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, just seek to understand before you judge, right? Like those people, like if they're hitting you up saying you're racist because you didn't post something, it's kind of like maybe they hit you up and say like, hey, maybe you should post something because you have the, and like open a dialogue about it. That's a different way to approach it.
Right.
So like, I think you said it earlier, Rach, is like to be tactful, right? Like that's a beautiful word. I love that word, being tactful.
Yeah, I think like that's like my personal opinion too. Like when it comes to anything, right? Like I could like something, but I don't have to put it on Instagram. I could like not agree with something. I can choose not to, or I can choose to. The only thing is like when it comes to like, I had to have like a few like uncomfortable conversations just to like start conversations. It wasn't like I was going to tag these people in like a story and get like pissed at them and like call out, because I don't know exactly what like their mind process is, right? Like to try to understand like why. And the answer that I got for a lot of people were like, they just wanted to keep it positive. And then the only, like I started this dialogue of like, I completely get that. And like, it wasn't that I'm for negativity. It was more of like, the whole like solidarity, and like if somebody usually posts like literally everything about their lives on this thing, like to know, and like we know your view on a lot of things, like that would help, like especially if you have that platform. Like the reason why like companies do it is because you're in like spotlight. You chose to kind of like be in there. Like the reason, like if you're a celebrity, if you're like the president, whoever, like you kind of you like represent a group of people. And I think that's like where the tact comes from, of like this saying, say something, but just understanding and trying to figure out how to say it the best that you can, especially if like you aren't like someone that is a part of that community. So like that can be a little harder. But when it comes to, your personal like things and like what you choose and choose not to do, like who am I to tell you that like I know you're racist because you didn't do this? Like that's not necessarily true, because like someone could post and in solidarity with the Asian community and the Black community, and then literally walk outside this hell to their next door neighbor. And like that's one of the reasons why like social media is so irritating sometimes, is because people will just do whatever they think that you want them to do, and not even like do what they feel they need to do, or they should do, or what they want to do. And that's something that like that's the reason why like I started talking more, is because it felt like it was getting more and more fake, and like people just like would reach out and was like, yeah, like they would like comment and like things like that. And like, I'm someone that, like, I have feelings about certain people, like when I'm like around them, and like, granted, like maybe they're not always like right, or like they usually are, at least for me, like I can feel that, and usually don't take like 100% from like only knowing someone by like messaging them, because they could literally have someone next to them telling them what to say. And that's like the scary part of social media, like for this technology, to talk and like be in person for this. But like you said, like you could comment something on someone's and like no one will ever know exactly how you said it. And that's scary. And the world is, people always kind of take it, they're like, well, you can't take a joke. And at the same time, like, you're probably right. Like sometimes it is just like a joke, and like you'll never know because you didn't say it in person, and like you don't know that have the relationship. Like there's so many factors of everything, like you understand anything. So like I think we all just need to understand that we will never understand everything, and just do what we got to do to make people feel, you know, safe and accepted. And you know, as long as you're not hurting anybody,
right,
then do you,
exactly,
you know?
Like you, and really, you don't have to understand how someone else feels in order to look at yourself and to like self-reflect, you know, on your sphere of influence. You can like, I mean, it helps to try to understand, but even like knowing that you'll never understand, you can look at that and say, okay, I'm never going to understand that fully, but I can do my best to like kind of look at them, like whether like empathetically, and just put myself in their shoes, and then look at myself and see how I'm influencing the people around me, and how I'm putting out like what my vibes are like, you know? And that's something I think a lot of us forget too, is like how like your what your energy is, like what your vibe is. Like when you walk into a room, are you making everybody like smile, or is everybody going like, oh shit, it's that person, like, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it could be a million different things, but it's like that's something that's within your control. Like you're controlling yourself, and that's all we can all do. It's just like work on ourselves, right? Try and make this better. I keep coming back to the same thing. Learning, we're all learning.
Dude, it needs to be restated so many times, because like there's still plenty of people out there who don't notice, almost just like that they're causing harm, and that's when it sucks. Like I remember in my previous company, there was this one old woman who worked with us, and she was like, you guys know who's been to Japan, like everyone's just so nice. Like that's the thing, like that all the tourists say, like, man, people are so nice. People are so nice. It's like they are nice, but to a fault, because they'll never tell you when you did something wrong, but they'll clean it up for you afterwards. But then in the back, be like, damn, did it again. Now I got to clean it up again, you know? So there was this one old lady in my previous job, and she would make mistakes, but all the other, like the staff would kind of fix it for her and not tell her about it. And she caught wind of it, and she was just like, please tell me if I make a mistake, like, let me know, because I don't want to be a burden. So like, let me know. So just, you know, that's why it needs to be said again and again, Raj.
Talk it out. I think that's like the moral of all the shit that we're saying, you know, is don't be afraid to have the hard conversation and talk it out. Right. You can keep it positive by attacking these hard things. Like we've been pretty positive this whole episode, and we're talking about some pretty heavy things. I think that's a good example. Like, it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be this big fucking hammer of like shittiness. You know, like it can be a fucking tap. Just like, yo, look at this fucking hammer. Nobody wants to get hit with this. Cut it out.
Big shitty hammers on Instagram, unfollow it, because that shit is toxic. Like, if anything I've learned about like any of the stuff in the past year and a half or so, like unfollow stuff that drains you, that stresses you out. And all like within all of this too, whenever these, crazy things are happening in the world, like actually take a break from social media, because you won't really have the ability to think for yourself if you're just scrolling and seeing people's opinions. Not that they're wrong, but like that's also one of the reasons why I had deleted my Instagram during all of the stuff that happened, like I guess almost a year ago now, a little bit over or less than a year, but because I was just like, I want to just like form my own opinion about this and like not be fed everyone else's opinion that the algorithm feeds me the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like take a break from social media, even though it is such a great tool for us and like it connects kendama and like our community would not be nearly what it is today without social media. But
Totally.
there are so many negative sides to it too, that like there has to be a balance, I'm trying to find that right now, especially, but
everything in moderation.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Completely.
Yes.
Like
Even kendama, man. If you play kendama fucking nonstop for 12 hours a day, every day, your knees are gonna fucking break in half. You're gonna fall off. You're fucking you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Moderation.
Yeah.
Sure.
Taking breaks is good too. Like
Yeah.
for creators or like artists, I know there's so many times where I'll be drawing something and like I feel like I just can continue going on it, continue like working and like doing this. I should fix that. But then if I put it down for a little bit and I come back to it, then I can see it in a totally different light and right away be like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I want to fix. I know what's bugging me about this. Now here's the best way to fix it. So yeah, that giving yourself some space is very important.
Yeah. Go breathe a little bit and come back with a fresh perspective, right?
Yeah.
yeah. Quality over quantity always.
Yeah.
Yes, like quantity at the end of the day, like for practice sake and like consistency is always key, but like something that I've always been an advocate for is like productivity is like completely different than like busy work and just like grinding, because sometimes like the grind is the grind, but like you have to see and like reflect on how you're doing that, because if you're not doing it in a productive way, you're kind of just going to burn yourself out. You don't know exactly what your intention or your goal is, and you kind of just end up drilling yourself into the ground, where like I've had like in the beginning I had like a negative relationship with kendama, not even because of like people outside of me. It was just like I had this weird like intimidation thing. Like I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways, so like I'd get irritated with myself and do all these comparison things, and I had to realize that like it's okay for me to not be on my kendama account for over a week, and if people unfollow me, they unfollow me. Like that shouldn't affect like my relationship with kendama, because that wasn't the reason that I started the kendama page.
Yeah, 100%.
And like you asked me like what it was there, I always like suppress this memory, but like I literally maybe the third day or the fifth day I had my kendama account, I posted a clip and Sweets Kendama like reposted me, which was super cool, and they tag you, and so someone had clicked on my page from Sweets and they saw that I only had like 3 posts. But I had literally just started the kendama page, so I would feel like it would be weird if I had like 100. And they made this random comment. It kind of got to me. It was like really weird, but it just said, I was going to follow you, but damn, only 3 posts. And it said, like, shit, pretty girls have it super easy. And I got so like, okay, like,
you're like, is that a compliment? Thank you for complimenting.
I think it took me a little while. Like I had to walk away for a little bit and then come back to it. And I literally, I think I responded and I was like, the reason why I only have a few posts is I actually started this a couple of days ago, but thanks for thinking I'm pretty. That's all I said, because I didn't know. I was like, what am I supposed to say to this? And like, I would get random like feelings or comments here and there that like, I was only either getting followers because I had a boyfriend that was in the kendama community, or that like they're like, oh, it's because you're a girl, or it's because you're cute. And I'm like, what does that have to do with? I'm just here. Like I just wanted to have this space to, learn something new and grow. And that's something that was super unhealthy for me for a little bit because of that comment. It kind of like triggered in my mind that like I didn't want to get like not better, but I didn't want to be like seen as much, because then I figured that everyone would feel that same way. And that was like unhealthy. So like I just started like having these breaks in between like years and like weeks or months where like I need to step away for a little bit. And it has nothing to do against like kendama or the people that I've met through it. It's more so for my mental health and just my relationship with kendama. And I think that's, like Haley said, like it's super important to be balanced in that way, because if you don't, like, you're just going to be in this like never ending like whirlpool or like black hole of like comparison and feeding into somebody's like ways or their thinking and not your own, because it's easy. That's the reason why, is like people get so immersed in social media because it's super easy to just take from the people around you and like, yeah, like I agree with that. I got this from here. Let me repost this here. Let me just say like, you're right. Yes. And then like people think that that's exactly what you think. But at the end of the day, like when you take all that away, you have to sit in your mind and like, oh wait, that's not what I think. Like, but people don't want to do that because they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to, you know, look wrong. Even if like they're not wrong. Like I see this photo all the time. It's the number 6 and like a person on this side and a person on this side. And it says, it's 9, it's 6. Like we're like, no one's wrong. It's just, you had to see it from like my side. Yeah. And like, I have been here my whole life and this is why it looks like this. So it's so crazy that like people still don't look too into things to see like why we do things, or just people take it too serious, or people don't listen at all, or it's just like hot or cold when like just go, you know?
Yeah.
Well, regardless of like spammy troll Grom kid on the internet, like you have definitely made your name in the Dama scene. Like people know who you are, not because you're Steve's girlfriend or whatever. Like, of course you guys are connected and you're tied, but it's not, you know, I don't really see it that way. I mean, you have an aesthetic, like your page always just, like looks cute, like fun, just like happy, fun, good vibe videos. Like, yeah,
thanks, Haley.
I love seeing more people in the community that, you know, are stepping up and posting what they want and just being themselves. And
hell yeah.
That was actually a big thing, was like you actually were like a super big inspiration for me, which was like in the beginning I was always like so hesitant on like things because I was like, oh no, I shouldn't do this, or like I'm someone that really does enjoy like creating aesthetic things, and like like forever ago, like I loved Tumblr, not even to like do a bunch of things, but like I loved the way like my Tumblr like page looked, because like the way that the photos were like rearranged and things like that. So when it comes to like Instagram, it's more like, let me make my Instagram kind of like the way I like how it looks like on my Tumblr, how it used to, or like I love Pinterest and like that kind of thing, because that's something that I really like. And I had to get over like what if people would judge me for it, because that's something that I like to do. So that is like, honestly, thanks to you for like just being who you are and, you know, doing what you want to do and being yourself, because it made me want to be myself. And that's awesome. So thanks, Haley.
Goes back to you. Goes to everyone in this chat too. I mean, yeah, I do love the Dr. community so much, and everyone that's a part of it. So
it is great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell to the motherfucking yeah on that statement.
Yeah. But extra props to Haley. Definitely. You know, held the flag and really flew it very strongly. And luckily you had a lot of great people around you to help you continue through that path, and then to shine brighter, to connect with more people, where now, okay, more women are seeing you, and just like Rach getting influenced to be like, okay, yeah, fuck, like, let me do that shit too. And it just goes to show, like, it took years, but like now, like you said at the beginning of the podcast, Haley, there's so many new, young, as well as not young shredders. You see that? You see the
Kendama grandma.
Kendama grandma, who's like 82 in Japan.
What?
Dude. Oh, there's one in Japan. I'm talking about a different one. There's like, I think she's American. I don't know. She speaks English anyway. Kendama grandma, I think, is the Instagram handle. Awesome. And she just like, yeah, it's great. It's fucking amazing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I love
like
seeing.
kind of on this topic, but like this sounds like, I don't mean this to sound like cocky or anything, but at the beginning, like when people would say, oh, who's your favorite female Dama player? There was like a handful to pick from. And a lot of the time they would say, oh, Haley, you know? But now I love when I hear people on other podcasts, like, you know, Breview or anyone talk about who's your favorite female player. And there's like 20 or 30 different names that come up every time. Like,
Hell yeah.
It's not me. And I'm happy it's not me because like, there's so many girls now that are getting recognized. And
yeah. It's like you said, there's been a bunch of growth recently with that. And I was actually going to ask you guys, I have like, I mean, I don't know how much more time you got, MJ. It might have to
We're
be
good.
the
We're
last
good.
question.
A little bit. Yeah.
Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I had a question for the both of you. Since there's all of these new female shredders and stuff popping up and stuff, who are a few of your guys' favorites that you've seen? That
you wanna go?
any that come off the top of the head, like, or that come to mind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first one that comes to mind always is Misu. Like, always just blown away by like, I mean, I don't have to explain it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't gotta explain it. You're good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like definitely any of the girls who have just stuck with it for so long too. Like, I mean, OGs like Steph Lucier, like she's put in her time and her work.
Absolutely.
Steph Mod, please. Goddamn,
Please.
make a Steph Mod.
Yeah.
You know, Kristen with Tara, of course. I know she's not as active on Instagram, but she's always just done so much work for Kendama. Yuka, I mean, those are the people that I do a lot of like work and collaboration with. But I mean, honestly, everybody, like, they want to put in their time. Like, there's no female Dama players I don't like. But first, I would have to say favorite, like inspirational, Misu.
Yeah. That's like, I mean, if you're not inspired by Misu, I don't know who you think you are, but geez.
Yeah. Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Misu is one of like my favorite all-time players. Like, because one, like I've been playing for a little bit, but I'm like, when it comes to like flipping a ken and just like juggling and things like that, it's been taking me forever. I realized why when I'm left-handed. So when I was in like junior high, I learned how to juggle, but everybody learned with like the right hand dominant. So like when it came to juggling for kendama, I was like, why does this feel so weird to me? It's like foreign because I've learned a lot of things with my right hand, like bowling or like throwing and things like that. Like I learned opposite of like what's actually like natural to me. Yeah. So I've had to like work on that. But Misu has like been killing the stall game forever, and that's something that I love to do. Like when I was a kid, I would like balance something like on my finger or like on my like knee just for fun, and that's something that like I learned that I could do with the kendama. So her and I don't know how to pronounce her name, but I think her name's Julia. She was on Chrome.
I believe it is Julia. Yeah,
she's not as active anymore, but like I loved like her presence and like the way that she would just play was super chilled out, and like she would do like underbirds and like axes and things like that.
Craziest
like,
axes,
craziest ones, and like, that inspired me just to like land an axe for the first time, and I was super hyped if I could like get it on like underbird and like flip it over, because I was like, oh my god, I'm doing something that I thought was like going to be super super hard because I saw someone that I'm super inspired by. But definitely her. And then the recent sponsorships from Sweets, I believe Emily and Loren and Chuck, like they were, so people like I literally before they were announced, I didn't know who they were. And I just so happened to be on social media at the time when like it was happening. And I never even met any of them in person, but through like the past, maybe however long we've been in quarantine or since they were announced, I've already created like friendships through them, and they seem super chill, and like they're like being inspirations like the way that Haley is to the community, where like they're sponsored, like, and I remember, I think I voiced my opinion on it too, but maybe I didn't post it. But when there was like a backlash with that, but it actually came from some women, which was like really weird to me.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it was on. So there was. I mean, it kind of is, it kind of isn't. Like I said, like when it comes to reacting and being a human being, like I get it, but like the whole me going back to being tactful of like
Yeah.
you can feel a certain way, but like you gotta, you have like a certain different process. Like if you can type that whole thing out and still click send, or like click post, because like it came into this whole, like, there are so many better skilled players than this, or they're like, they only got it because they're pretty, or like they're like, they know people. And in my head, like, I think that there's a representation of like not the craziest skill set people being sponsored. It's like people that are growing, they're good, and they're inspiring. I feel like there are different sponsorships. You know what I mean? Like
100%. Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, like the reason why you get a job or the reason why you like are sponsored it's not like a nepotism thing. It's not a favoritism thing. It's more of like a network / like be a good person and just have conversations with people. Because like, I'm not going to just go randomly and see someone really, really good and like automatically be like, you're sponsored, because I don't know them. Right. Like you have to have like this understanding that they're a human being first. And I think that was like the disconnect there. And it like threw me for a loop, because I was like, especially as we're growing, like as women in the community and like kind of making it this mixed bag of everybody, like I was like, we should be supporting each other, like even though you're like sad that you didn't get sponsored, I understand that completely, like if you wanted your friend to be sponsored, but like someone got sponsored and it's representation of women. So like, let's, you don't have to, you don't have to
for them.
take away from their joy because you're sad, like you can still be sad. Like that's like valid, but like don't publicly shame their celebration, because then it kind of like defeats the purpose of our progression.
Yeah, totally.
Like those 3 ladies, like they, especially from like right after like they got announced, like for getting that like backlash from a few people and like comments and here and there, like for them to even like stick through that and like just keep going, keep grinding, like growing the way that they are. I love like all 3 of them, as well as Lisa Kendama from New Zealand. Love her. Oh my God.
Lisa's
Claire
sick.
Dama. Love.
Yeah.
Freaking OP from like the moment I met her. But those are just a few. But like Haley said, like literally everybody. Like there's always something super inspiring just by like watching people through a screen or in person. But it's awesome.
Hell yeah. Those are some good answers. I feel the same way. I mean, everybody, of course, is killing it. And it's so awesome. I just wanted to hear if you guys had a couple in mind that I was like not thinking of at the moment or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more.
Oh, there's absolutely more. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're never going to remember everyone.
Tons.
That's the downside. Just I'd have to like spend a couple days beforehand making the list. And even then.
Right.
Like, go watch the All Girls Kendama video contest entries.
Yes.
That's every year we've always seen like at least 3 to 5 people we've never seen before, like usually more. But if you want to just go watch some like fun videos, like please do, because there were so many good entries this year and all the years before. But if you just want to go like see some new ladies in the scene, regardless of skill level or whatever, like just go support them, watch their videos, share their videos.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
That's right.
That is definitely one. Yeah. Definitely awesome job, Haley, for always throwing that with, of course, the team who has been creating that, not only just the video form, but the in-person events that you had in the past. Awesome stuff. I was like laughing at this past one, almost like I watched the announcement and I was laughing, one, because it was funny that everybody then learned that Instagram does 4-way live stream was one.
I'm so bad at technology for a millennial. It's pretty bad, but we were like trying to figure out, okay, we can get like one person in to like announce this category, and then like we'll switch, and like and then app wasn't updated, and it was and then all of a sudden all 4 of us were just in the chat, and we're like just like this, like just like we are right now, like on live, and we're all like, why, if we knew this.
Right.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. So you could do that, everyone. But the other reason why I was laughing, just smiling, like just in awe, just so surprised, is I look at the lineup of the girls that won, and I was like, they're all from Japan or of Japanese descent. I'm like, isn't that wild?
Yeah.
I'm like, just like, I mean, because like not saying anything, stop everyone, stop taking it like a weird way. Like I just saw, and I'm just like, man, like,
Please.
I'm like, wow, like this is so fucking rad. And like, as everyone knows, and so many people say, like, there's so many shredders in Japan, and this proves it. Doesn't mean that you can't get to that level. Everyone outside of Japan. But I was just like, that's amazing. I'm like, even Lisa, I'm like, yeah, she's from New Zealand, but she's Japanese. Like, still, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like, just smiling and laughing. But I'm sure there are girls out there who are like, man, like, why should I even try? And I'm sure there's dudes who are for like the Rod for the New Year's new vid and contest. I'm sure there's some people that were looking at it and we're like, should I go? Should I not? But there's not like a pro division. So like, if I do enter, like, what's the point? But we know that
was why I wanted to include so many sponsors and get so many different perspectives and different prizes. And the only thing about that contest that I like, I don't want to say I regret it, but was a bad thing was that I didn't know that you guys were doing the all girls contest at the same fucking time. I know it was, and I felt so bad. I was like, fuck, but mine's a New Year's one. Like, I can't change the date. I'm like, fuck.
No, I'm totally kidding.
So, I could have done Chinese New Year, I guess, but
when we all were meeting for our judging meeting, Kristen was like, Rod feels so bad. Like, he feels so bad. Like, he took over our comp. And I was like, I honestly didn't even like think about it. But then I realized, like Misu didn't enter, but she probably would have if like, she had to pick one of the other. But we'll probably we'll chat about this later.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But getting back to what we were talking about is like that was why I like wanted to include all these different prizes and different, like, not just the prizes themselves, but I tried to encourage all of the other sponsors to like choose something like a different kind of way to look at it. Right. Where like, I was going to pick my two favorite edits, whatever, which was impossible. I still wish I could have chosen 15. But and then like, like Sweets came in with like the background of it, so like it encourages people to go find a cool place to film, or like Glowken had like the Kente award where it was like the people doing like Kente tricks, like the lower level tricks, which is like, that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted everyone to feel welcome to do it. I wanted everyone to like not be like, oh, I'm never gonna win. Like I just go fucking have some fun, make an edit. Like that's what it was always about back in the day when we first started making edits. Like the first Rach Damas edit I ever made is like the worst quality you'll ever see. It's trash if you can find it. But like I made it all in a day, and I just like, yo, I got some Dama tricks. I'm gonna make I got a camera. I'm just gonna make an edit. I'm gonna have fun with it. Exactly. And that's just what it was all about. I just wanted everybody else to experience that.
Looks like it was filmed on like a baby monitor or some shit.
Oh man, it was
Those
a whole
are the
thing,
worst
man.
Cameras.
Yeah, it was that. Yeah,
4 full megapixels.
Dude. No, there's a single megapixel. That's it. That's all you get. Yeah, 1 megapixel. That's all I had on that edit for damn sure. It's bad. There's like some mad interlacing and shits every time there's movement, which is the whole time there's just lines in it. It's just like, what the fuck? And anyways. We've come a long way. Right. But yeah, no, that's definitely awesome. I do like that style of doing it, so you don't have to make a am and pro division kind of thing, where it's like everyone pretty much has an equal shot, because the things that these judges are looking for are so different, and you can just focus on one thing. If you really want to get like, someone did like a hardest down spike. It was like Lotus or something. Quill Kendama did that.
Quill, yeah. It's like, all right, you could have just made your video just like down spiking as like the whole thing. Like, just go back, watch like 2013, 2014 Tokyo vids and watch his down spikes and just recreate those. Like
100%. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or even like Serial Kendama did the breakfast B-roll. Like,
dude,
right?
I totally forgot about that. And when I was watching all the videos, like 2 of them started off with like cereal and going with milk and stuff. I was like, oh, that was kind of funny how like they thought of the same thing.
Yeah, man, it was good. Like it was Kendama Goblin and I always think his edit, it was in Japanese. It said Sutera no.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
it was
yeah.
Stella. Adrian Stella
That's it,
is his
yeah.
name. Yeah, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And so for the girls comp, you kind of did something similar to that, no? This time.
Yeah. So usually we do like an AM and a pro and then just pick top 3. And then this year we decided to do more of like the, categories or like almost like downspike award type categories. So we did like best cinematography, most progressed, there was 5 categories, like best banger, whatever, youngest. And then we went through the videos and we're like, there's so many good videos. Like we actually cannot pick. And so we ended up creating
I feel that
categories because like some people fit in multiple categories, but didn't necessarily like, we couldn't pick. It was just so hard. And so we ended up having 7 categories and, doing it that way. I don't know if it's better or worse, but it was a fun way to switch it up at least.
Yeah.
So.
It always can be improved or evolve. There's might be some mistakes as it changes, but yeah. But I think it's still the whole point is to have everyone get a little more active and confidence in putting something out like that.
100%.
That's the best thing.
Yeah, like if I had the time and the resources, I would have made every entrant a kendama. There's just no way. 79 is a lot of damas.
Yeah.
Or 78, sorry.
That'd be a lot, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But that's I'm fucking hiring judges next year.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it all by myself. I kind of did, and I still had to choose 2, but
Hell yeah, dudes.
I think this has been a great episode so far. We've had a couple of hard discussions. We've had some light discussions. We've had some laughs, some good shit.
Exactly.
It's been a great time.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you both for coming on again. Haley for helping co-host, and Rach for just coming and being Rach. And
Thank you guys.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah. Everyone here. I love you all. Rach.
Likewise.
Keep up all the good stuff. I love all your content. I also didn't know you sang, and I recently saw that.
Why? Don't say that. No, don't say that loud.
No, we all know she's singing.
I'm just joking. I don't
Okay. Anyway, you're just like a very well-rounded, talented, like cute, stylish, aesthetic, awesome person. And I love seeing what you post and just keep it up. So.
Yeah, that's something that like I was super insecure about at first when it came to the kendama community too, though, was like I granted, like you are your worst critic, so like I think I'm mediocre at a lot of things, and like I'm not like really really good at like one thing. So like if anything, like I dance the most, so like that's like kind of like where a lot of my time or like more of my time goes. But sometimes it's like really hard because I love learning and like getting good at stuff. So like I'll like find something and I'll like still like to do it, but like I'm never like this is like everything and like this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your support. Like I definitely have been super weird with like feeling like I don't belong in the community for a while, because I was like, oh, this isn't like my whole world. So I was like, I don't belong here. But like I've come to realize like through inspiration of like you and like everybody, like just do like what like you want to do, like be yourself. And thank you for being like a consistent inspiration and like motivation for me. Like I remember I think it was MKO 2018 where you got when did you get announced?
It was 2018.
2018, yeah. And we like watched your video and I was like so in awe. I was like, oh my God, Haley can do so much stuff. Like it was super inspiring. And like, even though like I'll probably never be able to get like certain tricks, like it's still awesome to know that like you put in like work to be where you are. And as long as you're doing that, like you are also super inclusive with everyone around you. And I've never had bad vibes with you, or once I meet all of you guys like in person, hopefully one day, if we can. Yeah, one day. It'll
happen.
It'll happen. I mean, it's definitely been like a year, but I'm sure things are looking up now. But yeah, thank you guys for taking the time to talk to me and Haley and just put all of this together. It's a super needed, I think, in the community, like kind of podcast, and just like a perspective and like an open thing that like people can come to like relate to and just listen and hang out and have fun. But it was super fun. and I appreciate you guys. So thank you for this.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
More than welcome.
Yeah. Super excited about it. Super excited to get it out to everyone who's listening. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. If you'd like to support Kendertainment and the Dama Nerds, you can do so. We have a Patreon page. We got a bunch of different tiers that you can select. But the biggest thing, if you want to watch these videos, because we have full video episodes that go on the Patreon. So just sign up for $1 a month and you can have access to that early access. Usually I edit them out and put them out. So enjoy. Definitely. It would mean a lot if you sign up and check it out.
Yeah, maybe just to get a little perspective here, if you sign up for the Patreon, $5 a month is literally one overpriced coffee at Starbucks.
Oh, it's true.
Starbucks, or you can support your local Dama community for just $5 a month.
Yeah. And everyone knows that if you go to Starbucks, you go more than once a month. So like you can sacrifice one of those drinks.
Yeah.
I saw a similar post. Somebody said something about the Nerds Patreon, but the $1 tier, and they said skip the McChicken and go support Nerds.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I forget who it was.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, well, we definitely appreciate it. You know, MJ's over there grinding out all sorts of projects for Kendertainment. But
I just started a new one. Love. I started a new one. I'm bringing back the news. I want to just highlight this because trying to spread it out a little more. Every week, live on the Kendertainment YouTube channel, I am doing weekly roundup Dama news, because you guys remember Dama news? Like people used to do it. Remember? There's like videos. Remember Azrin did it for a bit.
Azrin, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah.
But everyone just gets so tired and it becomes difficult. They're like, should I do a week? Should I do a month? But like, if you do the month, like if you're in the community, you're following everyone's IG. So it's not news anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to cut that middleman right in fucking half. And I'm like, let's just do a live every week. Cause it's easy for me to do. It's easy for people to digest if they miss something within the week. So that's what I'm doing. Come hang out on YouTube.
There you go. Yeah, you get your break from the social media and all your Dama news all at the same time.
Exactly. Do it up.
Stay kendertained.
So everyone, that was episode 47 of Dama Nerds. Thanks for hanging out. Again, Rach, thank you so much for taking the time. Haley, we'll see you on the next episode. You'll be joining us again. So Haley, you want to do the outro?
Yeah.
On that note, nerds are.
And on that note,
the nerds are out.
Okay, bye.